journey, those people who go home and away, those people who put time and effort into supporting their club to do things like podcasts, graphic design stuff, or fanzines, or what have you. They are great people. We love them all.
They're our type of people.
It's just why is there not enough of them? It's so frustrating. You look at the scoreline of this game. I don't know anything else that happened because I have been very busy this weekend with other stuff. But you look at the scoreline and you think there must have been some excitement in it.
Huddersfield looked to have this in the bag, and Salford mounted a comeback.
Salford mounted a comeback despite being a man down for the last 10 minutes as well, which shows a lot that the Salford people should be getting behind. And but I personally think it's quite a myth that getting to the AJ Bell's an impossibility. Because I've never struggled getting in and out. And the other week when I went to one of the way better attended games, than 3 times as many people there nearly as this game. Still not a massive crowd, still less than you'd want. But I got home in about 55 minutes. I'm not saying I kept to the speed limits the entire way home. But
you're not a reckless driver. I've been in with a car.
But I was, part of my journey was on the 50-mile-an-hour limited, and I got home safely. And
which is quite an achievement in your car, because if there's any kind of condensation issue going forward, then really you're just sort of guessing, aren't you?
Not when I'm on my own, I'm all right.
It's just when I'm in there every breathing.
When there's someone else in the car with me. But and you can get there. There's that big pub now, so if you want to go a bit earlier, sit in the big pub down the end of the avenue in. They're putting the new road in, that might help, I don't know. But it's just disappointing because they're putting on. I know they've lost the 6 points, but you kind of have to put that down to an owner who was willing to put you in situations where you were going to have those issues come up. He openly said he was willing to do that. It happened.
Plus, I don't see a lot of people organising themselves at Salford to vote with their feet either about this. It's not like there's this big kind of hardcore of people who are dissenting voices against Marwan Kukash, from what I can gather. So it doesn't explain it from that point of view either, where you might think, perhaps there's this concerted effort to stay away until he's gone. There's no sort of Kukash out rhetoric coming out of Salford that I can gather.
Not particularly, and it's just disappointing because it looked like possibly the most exciting game of the weekend in many ways, and meant a lot to the Salford club, especially with Widnes losing on the Thursday night. It's, come on boys, let's do it. And
that's it.
Now it looks very, very difficult for them to make that top 8 unless the points reduction's overturned. And I'm not saying more fans there maybe necessarily would have turned around the result, but the team certainly G'd themselves home. And if you had an extra couple of thousand people there giving them the, G'ing them up, maybe they wouldn't have given away those penalties that cost them towards the end of the game and stuff like that.
Of course. So tell us the story of this one. What do the stats tell us, Mark?
Well, a case of missed chances maybe for the Red Devils, having not seen much any footage at all actually. But they had more carries, made more metres, had more attacking kicks, had a 9-4 clean break count in their favour. They even conceded 4 fewer penalties overall and had 2% better team tackle success. Of the key numbers we look at, other than the scoreboard, the Giants only 1-on-1. That was a 0.9 metre per carry, better average gain.
Right.
Crucial in this one, though, obviously, does seem to be that Carney sin binning on the 70th minute. That penalty put Huddersfield in the position they needed to be to score the drop goal, I think, as well as another penalty that gave them a goal. That, so some of the penalties, whilst they gave away fewer penalties, some of the penalties were significant in the outcome of the game at the end.
Yes. Okay, so individually, who stood out for us then?
Earl Crabtree had a try in 111 metres. It's not often Big Earl gets a mention these days, so well done to him. Leroy Kudjoe with a try in 108 metres, Sam Rapira with 101 metres, and Mike the Machine Lawrence 43 tackles.
Fantastic. And for Salford?
Daniel Vido, who, despite Mark Hogan explaining still doesn't look fully fit, 2 tries, 124 metres, 3 clean breaks, so imagine what he's going to be like when he is fully fit. Josh Jones has been in ridiculous form recently. 2 tries, 10 tackle plus 2 clean breaks. Wella Haraki with 156 metres, so turnaround for him because he's not been lighting it up as far as I could see. And Junior Sauer 148 metres, So some big performers there, but not quite enough, unfortunately, for the Red Devils.
Okay, Owen Hughes got in touch. He said a really great tribute to Ronan at the beginning of this game. When Academy sides came out, there was what felt like 5 minutes of respectful applause, followed by spontaneous silence. The teams then came out in silence, followed by the official minute's applause. Very moving and respectful from both sets of fans. And Owen's game review says that it was a poor game from Salford, not much better from Huddersfield, but they played with passion. You would expect as much in such circumstances. The score 18-31 with about 10 minutes from time reflected the difference much better. Brough was key, as he so often is, kicking them out of trouble, and then great attacking kicks too. Dom Hodgson got in touch. He said just in the attendance at the last Salford game was less than 2,000. Poor showing for a Super League side. Dave Cantrell got in touch. Alright Dave, he said the Huddersfield Giants resurgence begins, confident we'll make the top 8 now. I like you, Dave.
I assume there was a winky face missing.
I'm absolutely certain there is. Wonderful. Just nice to see that Dave can keep a phone in his hand and carry out the function for which it's intended for a long enough period of time for him to get in touch with the show. Isn't that wonderful? Mark Hogan, he got in touch. There wasn't a standout team for the full 80. Both were poor and the game was riddled with mistakes. Can't complain too much about the ref, even though watching Benfela feels like rubbing a cheese grater across my face and finishing off with a sprinkle of salt. That's a wonderful mental image. We lack creativity and were too predictable, and it seemed like it was South Jones and Kopchak versus Huddersfield. We don't use Carney enough. Why would you give it to him to smash through their line when we're in their 20 is beyond me. Top 8 is slipping away rapidly, and if we play like last night against Cass in 2 weeks, we will get torn a new arsehole. Fair enough, very astute observations. I like it when people paint pictures with words. Yeah.
Mark's relatively new at jumping on board with actual getting in touch stuff, so I gave him a little bit of leeway this week. He wanted to send us a lot longer one than the Google form allows. Thanks for getting in touch, Mark.
Don't mind a bit of leeway. Thank you for the support, Mark. Right, over to Langtree Park then. And St Helens registered a 48 points to 16 victory over Hull KR. KR started brightly in this one, but Saints, contrary to what they've been doing for much of the season, actually rode it out and came up with an impressive win, Mark.
Yeah, the cartoon dog was on fire, wasn't he, really? That's the main difference between the two sides, the performance they were able to put on down that left edge. That got a lot of tries, because Hull KR were ahead at half-time. Maybe one of the issues with Hull KR is a depth of talent in their squad. I don't know if that came through more as interchanges became a more serious part of the game, because Saints obviously can pack a punch off their interchange bench in the forwards, something that Hull KR generally don't do. And we've learnt now that Campese out for the remainder of the season as well, haven't we, today? So, yes, again, further depth issues for But that's KR. That's hardly surprising though, is it? We've all been legislating for that for the last few weeks, haven't we? Yeah. If you're Hull KR, so. I'm trying to come up with an analogy of what that's like. I suppose it's like a vegetarian walking into Tesco and the meat delivery hasn't arrived. Yeah. It's like the exhaust pipe's fallen off your car, but you're worried that the wing mirror's loose. I don't think we're quite getting there, are we, with what we're trying to say? But no, maybe not. It's like. It's like not winning the lottery when you haven't bought a ticket. It's like having a girlfriend with 3 tits and only having 2 hands. No, because you put your mouth... Yeah, I don't know. I think the lottery one's probably the best one. It's just an ultimate inevitability. Yeah. Death, taxes and Terry Campese being injured. Yeah. The 3 certainties in life. Yeah, and you can't really miss something you've never had. And this season they've never really had a fit Terry Campese. Fair enough. That one glorious night in Wakefield aside. Yeah. Like you and adult genitalia. Anyway. Oh, that was horrible. We don't roll that way. Yeah, I haven't seen any of the highlights though, so I don't really know how it unfolded. But obviously, strong second half performance from St Helens, scoring over 40 points in that second half, wasn't it? Ooh. 40 point score, yeah. It was. So, tell us the story of the game, Mark. Saints didn't have many more carries than the Rovers on the stats, but they made much better use of the ball they had. 250 more metres at over a metre per carry better average gain, produced 4 more breaks, 10 in total, and they also made 4 fewer errors than the Robins.
Okay, so individually who stood out for us?
Well, Adam Swift, 4 tries, 12 tackle busts, 234 metres, 5 clean breaks, monster performance there. Right. Alex Walmsley grabbed a try, 157 metres from him too. Kyle Amor with 186 metres. Both justifying their call-ups to chapter Wayne Bennett. Dominic Peyroux with a try assist and 2 clean breaks.
Superb. And for Hull KR?
Scratching around a little bit here, but Sean Lunt had a try in 102 metres, Kieran Dixon 145 metres, so he's sort of solidifying his place there, even though there's got to be question marks when you're conceding 48 points through those wide areas. Albert Kelly with a try assist, 6 tackle busts, 2 clean breaks as well.
There you go. Diane RBW got in touch. She said, hey, for once we weren't shit. Well, for 40 minutes we weren't anyway. And Wally Frogmore, he said, just when I went to break out the champagne and party poppers to celebrate a win, I realised it's only against KR. You've got to start somewhere, Matt. Can't look too much into the win, take the 2 points and move on to the next game, which is exactly what we'll do, because apparently on Friday night, Leeds' team from last season quantum leapt forward to 2016 and decided to have a quick game of rugby league down at Bellevue, because it finished Wakefield 6, Leeds Rhinos 32, and more Leeds Rhinos players returning to the starting lineup. You get the feeling that normal service might start to be resumed for Leeds, perhaps, Mark?
Well, more and more Leeds Rhinos players returning to the squad, but the starting lineup was very...
it was a bit chop and change.
Very strange.
Hardacre in the halves, your boy at full-back, which one done with the droppy hands? Handley?
Golding.
I thought it was Handley at full-back.
Let's have a look.
Let's have a look at the
team.
I
thought Hardacre played...
I thought they had Hardacre in the halves and Handley at fullback, but I'm more than happy to be corrected if I'm wrong. So, you're right, Sutcliffe was at fullback, and it was Briscoe and Hardacre on the wings.
Yeah, because Burrow played in the halves.
That's
even though...
Burrow and Maguire in the halves.
Yeah, it didn't make much sense, but it worked. So
Same did the job. Ryan Hall
started on the bench,
making his return from injury on the bench, as did Adam Cuthbertson, Jimmy Kainos, and Brett Ferris for the Rhinos.
Yeah, very, like you say, very mixed up side from what you'd normally expect, but a bit more.
Maybe changing things up was was part of the tonic that was needed. Maybe that's what.
Yeah, because they certainly
going.
Need to get out of that consistent position of everything's right, spirit in the camp's great, because it's clearly not.
Yeah, something needed changing.
As well as a player actively wanting to leave that we all know about. There's been other mentions of players maybe wanting to go. There's mentions of players coming in to replace ineffective players that have been signed and that sort of stuff. So there isn't the united talk around the group anymore. And maybe mixing things up like this has forced the issue, forced players to sort themselves out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Leeds were definitely good value for this. I saw the tries and they were, they were well executed, and it looked like Leeds. Listen, I think we both predicted a win on this, didn't we? It looked, and it made us. I think Leeds pulled everybody's pants down this week who got smug and went, Wakefield are going to win this.
It also made it look a bit like Wakefield of last year as well.
Maybe everybody was quantum leaping this week down at Bellevue. So what did the stats tell us on this one then?
Well, 9 more errors made, 5 more penalties conceded, and 2 more sin binings suffered. 2 more sin binings for Wakefield. They're already the worst culprits in the league this year.
Dirty boys. One was Big Dave Fafita as well.
He's not happy about it apparently, but hey ho.
He shouldn't have thrown the ball at thingy, should he?
No.
Anyway, yes. Carry on.
Yeah, so that kind of tells the story for Wakefield. Leeds had 72 more carries, making almost twice as many metres, 1,445 to 775. 1.1 metres per carry better gain, and that led to 5 breaks to 3. So still not that loads of attacking threat there, but 4 tries to 1. Sutcliffe also kicked 4 penalty goals.
There you go. Okay. Individually, who stood out for us?
Well, Brad Singleton scored 2 tries. He had 129 metres to back that up as well. Mitch Achurch, his try was monstrous run, wasn't it? 1 try, 1 try, assist 11. No, some 110 metres, I'm going to guess, because I don't know what I've written.
Not 11.
And 2 clean breaks. Mitch Garbutt, 8 tackle busts and 239 metres for Mitch Garbutt.
If Jamie Peacock was no longer with us, I would suggest that his soul had, jumped into Mitch Garber's body in recent weeks. Because credit to Mitch Garber, he'd looked pretty average.
He's invoking the spirit of Adam Cuthbertson 2015, I'd say.
I think he's invoking all of them. Adam Cuthbertson, Ali Lauatiti, the lot. He's really, really stepped up because, honestly, for periods of time this season, you could have written average on his forehead with permanent marker, couldn't you? And he's just turning it on.
Someone who that applies to even more makes the stats round up to Keith Galloway, 127 metres.
He's the player that's let me down the most this season. I recall going to watch them play, admittedly only the Bulls